What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA show. Just making sure my audio is good. All right, sorry. Sometimes the audio input changes from my Blue Yeti to like the random computer. So just check that. Anyways, what's up, everybody? We are back after a crazy week for the 10-7. If you guys have been following along with our show, we have kind of reached some new heights. We were at 552 subscribers. I think we talked about this a little bit on Monday. But Sunday, we were at 552. As of today, we are at 712. So the channel is now 2 years old, actually.
Oh, wow. Shit.
Yeah, didn't do that much. What's up, Western? What's up, Tehran? Western, say, hey, what's up, Salim? We got the whole crew here. What's up,
Tehran followed me on Instagram. Big shout out. At least I think it was Tehran. I'm only, Tehran Brown followed me on Instagram this morning. I followed him back. What's up, Tehran?
Legend. And of course, Celine is back in the mix. So just a quick update. Maybe you guys have seen this, maybe not. But so just to let you know, at 552 on Sunday, and as of today, we're at 712. That's 160 sub increase, which is pretty substantial given our numbers before. So we had a big jump. Now, the reason why is, Tron says he added you on Facebook as well. Now, the reason why we had such a big jump is we had actually several videos that did pretty well, but there were two in particular that did extremely well. One of them, let me know in the comments if you guys saw this. One of them that Justin made actually got picked up by Jesse on Fire. So actually, let me pull that up. I didn't even pull that video up here. So Jesse, he's actually a buddy of ours, and he's the one that got us. Got us started with our channel. It was a fan competition back in the day. We talked to him. He kind of explained to us the gist of how to set up a YouTube show based around MMA, mixed martial arts. His was just around 100K or 80K at that point in terms of subs. His channel has since blown up to like over 400,000. Now he does other content. But anyways, it was pretty cool because we made this kind of, hold on, I'm gonna cue it up for you guys. We made this crazy video, or Justin made this really, really crazy video. I'm surprised it didn't get more views. It only got about 5,000 views, all about the Arman Tsarukyan pullout last week. And I just want to show you, Jesse saw the video. We actually sent it to him after the first one. The first one he just saw randomly. And he's like, whoa, your video's like kind of doing pretty good. That was the first video we made on Arman, but it wasn't this sort of bombshell. And then Jesse picks up the video and makes a video about it. It got 50,000 views so far. So I want to show you guys this really quickly. You can kind of see it was really cool for us, very exciting. And we're going to talk more about the Arman situation. That's why I'm just going to cue it up for you guys very quickly, and we'll move on from there. Check this out.
And I mean, he said it in plain English. He was 6 pounds over when he stopped cutting weight.
I'm here to tell you guys what I think happened with Arman Tsarukyan. Guys, his title fight with Islam Makhachev this past weekend was supposed to go down. But as most of you know, the day before the fight, Tsarukyan pulls out due to a back injury. All right. I hear the events leading up to this. Wednesday, he was on the bike and he hurt his back somehow. He went to sleep. He woke up. He felt better. Started cutting weight again. It started to flare up, and which led to him pulling out of his title fight. Guys, I don't believe it. I'm not saying I'm 100%, but I'm going to tell you all the reasons why I don't believe it.
I don't believe it either, if I haven't made that clear.
Had trouble making weight.
So Jesse was right on board with this. I think Justin, he even called you, right, and talked to you about his take on the whole.
We just texted, but yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty insane. And the more I thought about it, once Justin really explained it to me, I was like, dude, I think you hit the nail on the head. And again, if this is wrong, we have to say that this is just a theory. Still, we don't know. We don't have concrete evidence, but Justin really laid out a very strong case and a very good explanation, which made me believe that it's more likely than not true. Let's put it like that, right? There's a preponderance of the evidence that we would say it feels like Arman Tsarukyan pulled out of that fight, not because of an injury, but because of a weight cut issue is what it seems like. And that is further verified, or we could say there's more evidence to support that also from Dana White's reaction, where he was clearly upset. Arman Tsarukyan is clearly not getting another title shot until 2026 is what it sounds like. If it was an injury, I doubt that'd be the case. So that's kind of how everything went down. Now, Justin, there's a video over here. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's like 10 minutes long, but it says UFC fighters rip Arman Tsarukyan. So it's basically Tom Aspinall, a bunch of other fighters talking about a situation. We'll play a little bit of it. Some of these clips, I think maybe one of them came out before us, but the rest of them, I think, came out subsequently. People talk, and I'm not saying they listened to you and you changed their mind. I'm not taking credit for all of that, but some of these came out subsequently. So some of these came out. So just check this out, guys. This is pretty wild. And Western Mass Climber says, or Western says, hey, it's about to take off. Hey, I think he's talking about the channel. Let's go. And Tehran says they should give winner of Gaethje. Yes, I totally agree with you. We can talk about that in a bit. I was thinking that as well, especially because that fight's going to be great. So when that fight goes down, whoever wins, I think it's going to be pretty easy to set that up with the public. People are going to love that. And I kind of hope it's Gaethje, because Islam already beat Dan Hooker. But anyways, all right, let's check this out.
Friday, the day of the weigh-ins. We got the news of the day of the weigh-ins. That Arman Tsarukyan had pulled out of the fight because of back issues, which is a bit strange on the day of the weigh-in, because I don't really get how that works. But obviously, that's between him and his team.
You know how many people
I don't really get how that works. Read between the lines. Not too hard to do that. Okay, Josh Thompson, he also brings up a drug test, but check this out. But basically, the bottom line is scandal.
I had call me or text me and say, hey, that he was supposed to take a drug test in the morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And look, I'm not speculating.
I don't know.
I'm leaning more towards the weight thing.
Yeah.
Because look, at 2 a.m, I've been at 2 a.m. when like weight's not coming off, and I'm almost in tears.
Yeah.
Going,
there's a panic that comes to it. Yeah.
But I've also had fights where I got called on a Wednesday night, had to report by Thursday morning at 8 a.m. at the drug place that they told me to report to take the blood test or the piss test. And all of a sudden I got a call that morning and my opponent dropped off. So, I mean, like, that's normally what they do too, is they call you at, say, like 10 o'clock at night when they know you have no time to try and prepare. And they say, hey, 8 a.m. drug test. And in no way am I saying Arman is cheating, using, anything like that. I'm just simply saying that I've had past experiences with that. And then I also was told that the fighters were told to check in early in the morning to take their drug test.
We've been
all right. We've seen the clips of Dana White, so I'm going to pause it there. But Justin, it looks like we've had a lot of people coming out and saying very similar things to what you were saying. Let me get the title up here. Do you have any new thoughts? What does this make you think when you hear Tom Aspinall and these other guys essentially echoing those same sentiments?
So where I'm at right now, I'm in Arkansas with MMA legend, broadcaster and journalist, John Morgan. I was on his podcast last night. It was like his 510th episode. I was filling in for his regular co-host Ken, and we talked about this. We talked about it in depth, and something John that I wish I would have mentioned in the video, but John mentioned if you're my coach, or let's say it was you and I'm your coach, and you get a back injury, and then Dana White comes out and says no, he's not getting the next title shot. As your coach, I'm going to bat for you. I'm going to be like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The guy's injured. He can't. What do you mean? He's not going to. He's worked his ass off his whole life to get here. And not Tsarukyan nor his coaches are going to bat for him. His I'm trying to think of his manager's name, Rubenstein. Rubenstein is known for being outspoken and going to bat for his guys when he feels they're in the right, Daniel Rubenstein. And he's as quiet as a church mouse. So when you look at this fact of Daniel Rubenstein not saying a word, you look at Arman not saying a word, his coach isn't saying a word. They've accepted his fate. They knew they can't come out and argue this injury because they're going to be made to look like fools. And I tell you what, if that was you and I was your coach and you were injured and I firmly believed you were injured, I'm going to social media. I'm going to the Chael Sonnen podcast. I'm going to the Rampage Jackson podcast. I'm going to the Ariel Helwani podcast to explain my case and be like, look, my guy's injured, Dana, and he deserves his shot. He worked his whole life for this opportunity. He had a freak accident, but everybody's as quiet as a church mouse. Nothing else needs to be said. All right, that's the first. And the drug test thing, definitely possible, but they don't drug test you, at least when I was in the UFC. They'll drug test you the morning of the fight, but they're not going to call you the morning your weigh-ins. They know you got a lot to do. You're cutting weight, and it doesn't matter if it's the before the weigh-ins or after the weigh-ins. It's going to be the same drug test result. So I do like the idea, of kind of like thinking it could be a drug test, but it's not. This is a weight issue. He was going to miss weight. Read between the lines, guys. It's so obvious. Coaches and managers go to bat for their fighters when they feel they've been done wrong. and I'm reiterating, his manager isn't going to bat for him, his coach isn't going back for him, his teammates aren't going to bat for him. Arman Tsarukyan was going to miss weight. He fucked up, and he's going to suffer the consequences now.
Okay, I want to weigh in on that. First of all, just want to shout out Work Tips. He said he found us from Jesse on Fire. Legend, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Work Tips. Appreciate you.
So Lane said, do we really know what happened to Arman? Again, we don't know, but if you really add up all the circumstantial evidence like Justin is kind of laying out, I think it's pretty clear. Also, if you think about it, like you're saying, they can't go to bat because they know the truth. Like, it's so obvious. If they went to bat publicly, which you said 99% of the time, or basically 100% of the time, if they believed him, they would. That makes total logical sense. But they literally can't because they would look like fools. They know they would be essentially throwing the UFC under the bus. They might even force the UFC's hand. I don't know if this would happen, but they might even force the UFC's hand for them to make a more overt statement of being like, well, the fact of the matter is we're not buying it. You know what I mean? And they're probably holding their tongue. Do you agree with me? Or is that something that they would probably never cross that line and actually make that allegation?
Hell no, they're not going to cross that line, because you know what Dana White's going to do? He's going to come out and be like, look, I'm not an idiot. I've been around this sport since 1990. I know what's going on here. And although they'll never admit it. All right. There's secrets in MMA all the time. Me and my coaches have secrets, and his coaches have secrets. And as when you have that kind of loyalty and that kind of bond with you and your team, like when stuff like this happens, like they're not going to expose you. But the next best thing besides exposing you is just being quiet. Because again, as a fighter, as a coach, I go to bat for my guys, and I don't care what the situation is. And nobody's going to bat for him. And we just were asked, is it official that he was going to miss weight? It'll never be official. It can't. He's never. In order for it to be official, he has to admit it. And as a fighter, he's never going to admit that. And he's going to take that to his grave.
Man, it's so crazy. It sucks all around. Also sucks for fans too, because this is the fight that pretty much everybody wants to see. And it does appear as though people are saying Oliveira is going to be next, which is cool. And we all love Oliveira, but it is a fight we've already seen. Now, somebody did say in the comments, what I think will be a great idea, hopefully, is we have Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker. Even though I love Dan Hooker, if they have a banger of a fight and Justin Gaethje pulls off the victory, that will be an amazing replacement, because that'll be fresh blood for Islam, and Justin will be very hot from that win. If it's a really good fight, that could save that division in terms of a really exciting championship fight. What do you think? Or do you have a preference to see Charles?
I mean, to see Charles.
See Charles against Islam, like in the next title
Charles
fight.
Kind of like the bantamweight weight class. Like, I'm not really excited about any matchups, because this is just like I talked about in my Marab video. They're just recycling the same fights over and over. And I know Justin hasn't fought Islam, but Justin fought Habib, and we saw how that went. I think it's going to be a similar fight to that. And is Justin Gaethje, and he's my favorite fighter, guys, so I'm not throwing shade at him. He's one of my favorite, the highlight. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever worked with in the gym. I've never sparred with him. I've always wanted to when he comes into the gym. Unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out. I love the guy. But is he going to be the same Justin Gaethje after suffering this brutal knockout? People don't understand the repercussions of sustaining that kind of damage. I mean, he was unconscious for a long time, where people are going to be like, oh, well, he's taking 6 months off. He's taking 9 months off. He's taking a year off. Listen, Justin Gaethje might not be competing in the UFC, but he's training. And I can guarantee you he's been punched in the head since then. All right, there's no way this guy's just like, okay, I'm just going to take 9 months off my life. He'll fall so far behind the curve when it comes to the evolution of the sport. I'm telling you, I'm speaking from experience. If you take an extended period of time off training in general, I'm not talking about head trauma. I'm talking about training. I'm talking about technique. I'm talking about holding mitts. The sport will leave you behind. This UFC and MMA is in a position right now that the sport is growing and changing at such a fast rate. If you take 6 months off, there's new moves that are being implemented by all fighters. Like the biggest thing when I started fighting, if you're a right-handed fighter, you stay in a right-handed stance. If you're a southpaw fighter, you stay in a southpaw stance. Now all fighters are switching stance, and that's just a small piece. Like, look at how many rear naked chokes there used to be in the UFC. Fucking every fight, you get on somebody's back, the fight's over. You're either pounding him out or rear naked choke him. Now nobody, I mean, there are still the occasional rear naked chokes and ground and pound out, but not like it was in the late 90s and the 2000s. The sport is growing. The evolution of the sport is going. Justin Gaethje has been training. Is he going to be the same guy as he was before the knockout? We don't know, man. And just like I said with Merab, and I keep reiterating the same point, unfortunately, the lightweight is just like a rinse and reuse and recycle kind of, weight class right now, just like the bantamweight. And there's no really matchups that I'm overly excited about.
Okay, well, I've got something to show you for the bantamweight division next that may excite you, because it did excite me. I was feeling that way, that who is going to step up, what's going to be exciting as a matchup.
Oh, that's the video I made. Yes, that's the video I made, was the next who I thought was in the bantamweight.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, we're going to talk about that right next. Hold on, we're just going to highlight a couple comments. Wolf Fuel says Gaethje does nothing for Islam's resume. Book Charles versus Arman too. That's what he wants to see. I think that is kind of siding with what you're saying. Somebody else said you're right, Justin, and Justin is a smart dude. I think that's Ari Arman. Tehran says, I believe Gaethje will be fine. Hooker's good, but he isn't the level of Max Holloway or Charles de Bronx. I don't know. I'm curious to see. I think Dan Hooker has made some strides and some changes. I think it's going to be a very tough fight. I think I always thought Dan Hooker was underrated, and it's going to be good. We'll see, but like I said, kind of hoping Justin Gaethje wins just so we can have some sort of a cool build-up for Islam versus Islam. And M Gal 4 Productions says, Justin, I'll be at your bare knuckle fight in March. Let's take a photo after you win. Let's go. Selfie time.
We can do it before, after. You show up, meet up. I'll get you a ticket.
All right. Legend. All right, here we go. Now we're going into the bantamweight division. Did you see this with Sandhagen?
I didn't, but I love it. I'm going to tell you why once you give me the mic.
Okay, watch. I love it too. And I want to hear your thoughts first, and then I'll tell you mine. Maybe it's the same thing, maybe same reason. But here we go. Check this out, guys.
Hey, let's be real. O'Malley has no business fighting Merab for an immediate rematch. He got beat up in the first fight. He's going to get beat up in the second fight. No one wants to see that fight. I'm not booked yet. I want to fight. I am so damn bored. I'll even give this fool as much time as he wants, the way that Aljamain gave him as much time as he wants. Just UFC. Make the fight that the fans want to see, which is me and O'Malley. Make it happen soon. I'm so bored. Hey, let's be real.
There it is. Okay, so he's calling out O'Malley, and this is, again, a fight that a lot of people have wanted, just from the perspective of how exciting of a stand-up match it would be. Justin, what are your thoughts?
Love this call out. Cory Sandhagen is such a gangster because he's going off the beaten path, and that's really what separates MMA fighters at the top level. Everybody's calling out Merab. Peter Yan, 2-fight win streak. I want Merab. Davison Figueiredo, I don't know if he's calling him out, but a lot of people are like, oh, that'd be a good matchup. No, it's not. He's coming off a loss. Henry Cejudo, lost. Jose Aldo, lost. Cory Sandhagen isn't calling out Merab. He's calling out the next best thing, and that's Sean O'Malley. With the star power that Sean O'Malley has, he goes in there and handles Sean O'Malley. Guess what? He's going to be given that title shot, and he'll be a fresh face for Merab. I personally don't like the matchup for Cory Sandhagen against Merab, but I love the matchup for Cory Sandhagen against Sean O'Malley. It's going to be a striker's delight. Cory Sandhagen, man, just an incredible dynamic striker. I think he went really smart with this. This is the perfect call out. Excuse me. Because if he goes in there and handles him, he's potentially next in line for the title.
I'll tell you why I think it's perfect. And then we're going to talk about whether or not it's going to happen, because I'm a little doubtful it will happen. I want to hear your thoughts. I love it because, again, same thing. Some people are excited, like me, actually, about Sean O'Malley versus Merab, just because I'm a fan of Sean O'Malley and I want to see that fight again. And I want to see if he can do anything differently now that he's had his labrum surgery. But I think maybe for a lot of people and a lot of fans, Sean O'Malley is coming off a loss. It's essentially an immediate rematch, right? For a championship title. So instead, maybe that's lost a little bit of steam. Merab's on such a hot streak. It's not as exciting for other fans, but then you throw him in against Cory Sandhagen. That fight will be amazing no matter what. And whoever wins now has the rub and now has the momentum to go up and to make that fight super challenging. The only way I think this would work is if Merab definitely wants to take like 6 months or 8 months off or something like that. If he wants a long enough layoff, then this would slide in perfectly. This would be a great filler in between. But let me end on this. The reason, and I want to hear your thoughts, I don't think this is going to happen. And the reason why is because I think Sean O'Malley is too valuable to the UFC. And what I mean is not that I don't think Sean O'Malley would win. Like you said, this is a tough matchup for Cory Sandhagen. Sean O'Malley might be favored, but I think just based on the monetary potential loss, if Sean O'Malley does lose and then misses out on that title shot, because then he'd have to really work his way up, maybe get 1 or 2 wins, and who knows when that will be, etc. I feel like the UFC doesn't want to miss this opportunity to get Sean right back in there and for him maybe to get a victory, because it just means that much more money for the UFC brand. What do you think?
I disagree, and this is why I disagree. I don't think that there's anybody that I mean, you throw Sean back, and Cory said it right. He said he got his ass whipped the first time. It's going to be the same. His shoulder injury, there's nothing to do with the wrestling there. We look at Umar Nurmagomedov. You know, obviously the guy just fought 18-1 now in the competition. He has a broken hand. All right, that one's not going to work. Now, here's another matchup that might be good for Cory Sandhagen that could propel him to stardom. Peter Yan on a 2-fight win streak. All right, although Cory Sandhagen's coming off a loss, I would like to see him fight Peter Yan. I mean, and then the winner could have a championship fight after that. We look at Figueiredo, you know, coming off a loss. I think he's just going to be too small for the division. You got Young Sedung, who's 2-2 in his last 4 fights. Jose Aldo, 1-2 in his last 4 fights. Everybody in this division is losing right now besides Merab. All right, Merab and Peter Yan. Merab's obviously on a huge win streak right now. Peter Yan's on a 2-fight win streak. Sean O'Malley, you know, this would be actually, I think this is a good fight because I do think Sean is the favorite, and the UFC can't protect him, man. Like, he's already been the champ. You know, this is a great matchup. Both guys are coming off loss. Cory Sandhagen's coming off a loss. You know, Sean O'Malley's coming off a loss. If Sean O'Malley can't go in there and fight and beat Cory Sandhagen, why would they want to put him up against Merab? You know, so this could be a good way to get Sean back on track, especially coming off that labrum injury. You know, he can get in there, you know, go with a little bit lesser of an opponent. Again, I'm not throwing shade at Cory Sandhagen. When I say lesser, I mean expectation. I'm not saying reality. I'm talking about expectation. Everybody believes that, you know, Sean O'Malley is the better fighter. Whether that's true or not is what it is, but everyone believes so. So Cory Sandhagen taking a big step up in competition. You know, Sean O'Malley being gifted this fight, expected to win. You know, I think it's a great way to get Sean back in title contention. And Merab isn't one to take 6 months off or 8 months off. You know, like I said, man, when he wants to compete, Cory's getting bored. You know, I could see shit in the next 6 months. Cory fight Sean, and then the winner fight Merab in the next 6 months. Like, Merab is not a guy to slow down. You know, he's in shape. He doesn't, to get in the kind of shape that Merab is in, he cannot take long layoffs. He has to get in shape and stay in shape. And I think that's why he wants to fight so often. And he's not hurt. He's not injured. You know, there's only a couple guys in the division. Again, I'm looking at the top 10 guys in the division. Umar coming off a loss. Sean O'Malley coming off a loss. Figueiredo coming off a loss. Hans Enhagen coming off a loss. Young Sedung coming off a loss. Jose Aldo coming off a loss. Like, there's only one guy in the division. There's a sleeper in the division that I haven't mentioned yet that's in the top 10 that I'm sure we're going to talk about later on the show, and I just made a video about. But I think Cory Sandhagen versus Sean O'Malley is a great matchup for the business.
Okay, well, I hope you're right because I really want to see it. I think that'd be really cool. Me personally, like I said, I do hope Sean O'Malley gets back up there because just from a selfish fan perspective, Work Tips is chiming in. He says Cory is a better matchup for Merab than O'Malley because Cory is also good at grappling. What do you think about that? Do you think that do you agree with that take?
You know, I'm not going to agree or disagree. You know, Sandhagen's typically known for being on his feet. And again, if you're fighting in the top 5, top 10 in the world, like obviously you're going to be good at wrestling. You're going to be good at grappling. But something I think Sean is better than Cory at is his distant management. Obviously against Merab, they're like, oh well, Merab took him down. Well, Merab's the best fighter in the world, and he's arguably the greatest bantamweight of all time. So it kind of there's no really weight behind it. We're like, oh well, Merab took him down. It's like, besides that, you look at Aljamain Sterling, who's an incredible wrestler, incredible grappler, one of my teammates, man. This guy, he gets his hands on you, it's tough. And Sean O'Malley was able to judge the distance, you know, for the first fight. And he's done it so many times. Like his distant judgment, his range is so great. And I just don't want people to think that it's not good because of what Merab did. Merab's doing the same thing to everybody, and he's so good at that, you know. With that being said, Sandhagen, you know, man, it's tough, man. It's up for debate. I can see why Work Tips is saying this. But again, I mean, Sean O'Malley, and he might be the better wrestler, grappler, but can he keep his range with Merab? You know what I mean? Like Sandhagen is going to be walking forward, trying to commit behind his punches and his kicks and his knees. And something that Sandhagen, a great weapon that Sandhagen has, are his knees. Man, I believe he knocked Frankie Edgar out with a brutal knee, or it was a teep kick. And I could see him trying to do the same thing to Merab, catching Merab come in.
Yeah, I think Frankie Edgar, I think that was a knee. That's my recollection, like a flying knee, but I have to double check that. All right, real quick. Lane says Justin is no nonsense. We agree. And then also MGL 4 Production says Merab is I think he meant the best bantamweight ever. And again, Justin made a video recently, a couple days ago, saying just that. All right, let's move it on to topic number 3. Apparently, this fight is brewing and very likely to happen, which it's weird, but it makes perfect sense at the same time. It's like Renato Moicano just came off of fighting for the title again. Those were bizarre circumstances. He still was ranked number 10. Actually, I wonder, what did Moicano's ranking change? I want to check right now. Do you know?
I do not know.
Okay, hold on. Let me just see really quickly. I forgot to check this earlier. So I want to check to see if his wait 1 second. UFC here. I'll screen share while I do this so you guys can see what I'm doing. UFC rankings lightweight. Why do I have a hard time finding this? Here we go. No, he stayed right in the same spot. Crazy. Okay.
Well, I mean,
I wasn't sure.
Is it? But is it crazy though? Like he went in there and got finished in the first round. Like, I mean, does it really deserve? Like, oh, since he stepped up, fuck, I'll step up.
You're
and
right.
Fight. I'll step up and fight Islam. It doesn't mean I'm going to be put in the top 5 or top 10. I'm going to get my fucking ass whipped just like he did. So I don't think it warrants being boosted in ratings. Now, if he goes decision, if he goes out there and has a dog fight and loses a decision, okay, I can see it warranted. But he got taken out in the first round just like we expected.
That's fair. All right. So saying that being said, now we have his matchup ranked number 10 against Paddy Pimblett is what people are talking about. Justin, what do you think of this matchup? What do you think of just in general? Probably the build-up's going to be amazing. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Fucking love this. And you know what? I tell you what, I'm willing to bet that after this is what I'm willing to bet. And we'll never find out, unfortunately, because, I'm not tight with Dana White or Sean Shelby anymore, after being cut from the UFC. But I'm willing to bet after that fight, Dana said, hey, man, thank you so much for stepping up and saving this matchup. You get to choose your next opponent. And Moicano is like, he's going to be the favorite in the fight. Paddy is on a super hot streak right now. He's improving every fight. I really feel he's focusing on his diet. He doesn't look like he's a fat piece of shit anymore. Like he looks like he's in shape. He looks focused. And Moicano, the buildup and the hype that they're going to main event it. This is going to be a main event fight. Maybe it's, excuse me. It might be a
fight night,
a UFC fight night card, but it's still going to be a main event, and the presser is going to be crazy. Moicano wants somebody to build a fight with, and Paddy Pimblett is the guy to build a fight with.
It could be a headline of a fight night, or it could be a huge co-main for a numbered UFC event as well. I think, especially one in London. I don't know. Look, I still don't know logistically how this is going to happen, if it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. But to me, it's very exciting. And it's a very interesting fight, too. I think Paddy is so underrated. People give him so much crap, again, maybe because of the weight issues or the way he's perceived on social media. He just had that sparring brawl with some dude who was talking smack to him, and he rocked him out. Actually, speaking of rear naked chokes, he got that guy in a rear naked choke and made him tap out in like 2 seconds. But I think Paddy's on the rise. I think he's way more serious of a fighter than people give him credit for. And I think this matchup is fantastic. And the winner will be propelled, whoever it is. And the best part is, I feel like, well, maybe this is not totally true. I don't know. I feel like from my perspective, I'm almost an equal fan of both. I'd love to see either come back, kind of with a slight preference just to see Paddy win that one, because I want to see what Paddy can do in the lightweight division. It's such an unknown. Renato just had the title shot, but either way, any way you cut it, it's going to be exciting. Now, we got a couple comments in here. Tehran says, I don't know if I agree with this. Tehran says, I think they should rebook Dariush and Moicano. It just does not have near. Okay, I get your perspective, maybe from like a vet standpoint, a skill maybe even a skill standpoint, but maybe not. I don't know, but it just does not have the same heat to me whatsoever as him going against Paddy. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Moicano can call for Paddy, and eyes are going to be on this fight. Even if Dariush is the tougher opponent, which I do think he is, remember, Moicano wants eyes on this fight. And honestly, Moicano versus Dariush, it's a good matchup. But I tell you what, if I'm in the middle of a video game, like if I'm playing Call of Duty or I'm sim racing, I'm not going to put down my controller to go watch this fight. You know what I mean? I'll watch it if it's convenient, but I tell you what, Paddy versus Moicano, not only am I put down the controller to watch the press conference, I'll put down the controller to watch the whole walkout and everything, because the buildup, guys. Remember, the UFC is a brand of entertainment. Something that people need to get off, and my buddy Aaron is big on this, and I just disagree with him, is he's like, the UFC isn't putting together the best fighters fighting each other. It's putting together the best entertaining fights. You know, the people. But I think, again, as a business, the UFC is a business. They're an entertainment brand. They need to put together entertaining fights, and not just in the cage, but outside of the cage. And I think Paddy Pimblett and Money Moicano, they're going to be talking trash at the presser. They're going to be talking trash online. They're going to be talking trash all through. And you see the buildup of Dariush and Moicano. There was no trash talk. I don't even remember them even talking about each other. There's just no hype behind that fight. Paddy Pimblett, Money Moicano coming up next.
And it actually look. I get the stance that it is entertainment, but I get the position as well that there needs to be some level of discernible meritocracy, because otherwise it kind of starts to fall apart, and we don't. It's tougher to view it as a legitimate sport, and we want this sport to be legitimate. We really do. I do as a fan. I feel like it adds so much value to it to know. I like to know that, for example, the best fighters, the toughest people on the planet are all in the UFC. It's one of the reasons why I was a little disappointed when Muhammad Mokaev was let go, because I'm like, wait a minute, what? He's on a 7-fight win streak. Like, that's not the UFC. And I understand there's other reasons, but so I get that it is important to maintain the integrity, meaning, hey, we're seeing the best go against the best. But I mean, with Renato Moicano and Paddy Pimblett, it actually makes sense. Paddy Pimblett is ranked number 12. Renato Moicano is ranked number 10. And going back to your last point, I just wanted to chime in on, you said, hey, the UFC, Dana White was probably like, look, you can pick whoever you want because you saved the day. If you remember when Kamaru Usman stepped up on short notice to fight Khamzat Chimaev, if I'm not mistaken, immediately after that fight, Kamaru, it was one of the two. I can't remember which way it went, but either Kamaru Usman said to Dana White, he's like, all right, you owe me one. And Dana White acknowledged it. Or it was the other way around where White was like, thank you so much. I can't remember. It was something like that, but he thanked him. And I think that you are exactly right. When somebody steps up and takes one for the team like Renato Moicano did, and I know he got paid, but when somebody does that, the UFC treats their fighters well. They remember that, and they do take care of them on the next fight. Now, last thing I want to say on that, and Justin brought up a really good point in the Arman Tsarukyan video where he said, hey, going down to 156 versus 155 is a massive difference. Renato Moicano was planning his entire weight cut around going to 156, and at the last minute, the last day, had to cut that extra pound. That was probably a big deal. And Justin, you can elaborate on this much more so, but he had to do that. He also had to switch to the toughest opponent possible. Whatever you may say, hey, he gets paid more, this and that. Yeah, that might probably very well could be his only title shot. That was it. He just had to go up and take it. Like, that's a tough pill to swallow. Justin, what are your thoughts on my 2 points? Like, how tough was it basically, I'm just asking you, how tough was it for Moicano to do what he did and pull it off successfully?
Dude, we just listened to that. You cut a clip. Was it Josh Thompson that's talking?
Yeah.
So Josh Thompson's talking about, waking up at 2:00 in the morning, getting out of the tub, sweating, stepping on the scale, expecting to lose a couple pounds and just being completely devastated. Guys, if you guys have never cut weight before, in the next couple months, Huzaifa is going to do a trial weight cut with me. It's not going to be an overly tough one, but I'm going to put him through just to give him a small taste. You can guys, because all the idiots out there in fan land that have never done a weight cut before, especially at that level, don't understand how much more, because there's been times where this happened a couple times where I'm 0.2 over or 0.3 over, and I look at my coaches, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not getting back in that tub. I'm not getting back on the bike. I'm not getting back in the sauna. Your body and your brain are just fried. And imagine your mouth is so dry, it's like sandpaper in your mouth, and you can't breathe and you can't talk and you can't move. It's like that guy to go out there and lose another after he thinks he made weight. I was unsure if he made 155.0 or 156, but after he makes 156, and that's a weird thing because, I'd like to like talk to somebody that was more on the inside. I might talk to John Morgan. Sorry guys, I keep hiccuping. I'd like to talk to John Morgan more tonight about this, but he stepped on the scale, makes 156.0, right? And then they was asking
Talk about
another pound.
Moicano.
Yeah. So when did Moicano know he
No.
had to make 155.0?
No, he already knew. Okay, so here's the crazy part. Moicano and Arman both train at I believe it's American Top Team. So they actually share a coach. So his coach was asked, "Hey, was the UFC upset with you?" He's like, "Look, I trained both of those guys, so I was still like back. It was my fighter that was slotted in. So he's like, I don't think they were mad at me. Whether they were upset with Arman, I don't know, but I don't think they were mad at me. So I think that Moicano knew ahead of time that he needed to make 155, at least the night before. That's my recollection, even from Moicano's interviews. So he had already planned for making 155. I'm almost positive. I am like 99% sure that when he stepped on the scale the first time, he was at 155.
Okay. Well, I mean, I tell you what, you plan your whole weight cut, by the pound. So for instance, for me, when I'm fighting at 156.0, I want to be 172 pounds on Monday, the Monday before my Friday weigh-in. All right. When I'm on Wednesday, I want to be about maybe 12 pounds over, maybe 166. And then I want to be 8 pounds over on the night before I start my weigh-in. Now, it doesn't sound like a big difference, but if I'm 9 pounds over or 10 pounds over compared to 8, that last pound, 2 pounds can be devastating, guys. And like until you experience it, I can't I like to think I'm a pretty tough guy. And when I made featherweight for the very first time, I went from 185 to 145 in 4 weeks. Dennis Davis was there, Mike Conflitti was there, Roman Isbell was there, the UFC staff was there when I did it. I stepped on the scale at 146.2 and I just started crying. I remember just crying like, oh, I can't make it. I can't lose the 11.2. Acting like, and like I said, guys, I'm a grown ass man. I was crying tears. And then Dennis is like, put your sweats back on. We got 30 minutes. We go up there and Dennis essentially would grab my head like a wrestling, snap me down to the ground, and then I just have to stand back up. And when I say stand back up, literally just try to stand back up. As soon as I stand back up, they'd push me back down, and then they lay on me. I'm like, come on, you gotta move, you gotta move. And I'm sitting there basically crying, not feeling bad for myself. Then I stepped on the scale, 145.8, made weight, and I told Sean Shelby, I walk up to him, I said, that's the hardest thing I have ever done in my whole life. He goes, well, you made it, and I made it. So again, hats off to the extra pound there, man. It's you guys just don't understand how much of a mind F that is.
So Roland Denny says that same with Volkanovski. Oops, I didn't get the quote up there. Same with Volkanovski. He is treated well for stepping up so much. Yeah, they're going to take care of Moicano. I think they're going to make this Paddy fight because I think Paddy wants it as well. It's a fun fight. It's a great fight for him. If it's a perfect step up in the rankings, top 10. And it's somebody that's got a lot of buzz, right? I feel like he gets way more out of fighting Moicano than even like Dariush or Gamrot or any of these other guys. So I think it's tremendous. I think it's going to go down. And then, Tehran says with a quick comment, Justin, we're going to go to the next topic in a second. Justin, I think they should do your boy Jamal Hill and Roundtree next. Yeah, dude, we've been saying this forever. I don't know if that's going to go down, but yeah, that'd be a phenomenal fight. Really great fight. Oh, MGAL4 Productions. We've heard people say this before. Get rid of weight cutting. God, that'll be the day. That would be amazing if they can.
It'll never happen. It'll never happen. Because everyone's always trying to get an edge. Even if they say like, "Hey, you can't cut weight anymore," we're gonna find a way to do it. Like right now, they like in the college. Sorry to cut you off, but just to touch on the weight cutting, like in collegiate wrestling. You have to do what's called an alpha test, and essentially they take your fat percentage, they take your hydration, and they do a computer diagnostic of essentially what's your lowest weight you can get down to healthy. And as a former collegiate athlete, we cheat this every time. Like it's so easy to cheat, and that's the thing. Like trust me. I wish we could get rid of weight cutting. We can just come in at our natural weight. But what's your natural weight? Natural weight out of camp? Or, okay, what's your natural weight when you're in great shape? There's just too many things. And I tell you what, weight cutting has been around since geez, probably before, I don't know, like it's just never going to go away. As much as the fans and the fighters wish to see it, there will always be somebody trying to lose weight and trying to get an advantage over their opponent, no matter what the circumstance is, whether it's drug related, whether it's, you cheat on your hydration test. Shit, guys, and this is a true story, and most of you guys might know this, some of you guys might not. Guys cheat the hydration test by strapping a synthetic, like a dildo that's shaped like a dick, and it pees. And I can't remember what it's named. You can buy them on Amazon. So essentially, you have a bladder storage in the base of this dildo, and you hold it like your junk, and it pees out of the urethra. And so if case guys are like, hey, look, I got to make sure that you're peeing out of your pee hole, which is a thing. And I know that I'm getting a little graphic here, but when I was cutting weight, or when you're drug testing for the UFC, like my guy gets this close to the junk, and you know what I mean, to make sure you're not cheating, because they have these synthetic ding dongs that will actually, they're motorized, and they will warm pee for you. How crazy is this?
Dude,
guys, here's another one that you guys might not know, and this is a fact, and if you guys argue with me, you guys are stupid. Again, former collegiate athlete, former UFC fighter, I've seen all. Another thing guys are doing is they're taking a catheter and they're drug testing up, and this is I'm not going to say what nation is known for this, but there's obviously a couple nations do this, but one particularly is known for it. I'm not about to throw shade, but what they'll do is they take a catheter, and they're all drugged up on their testosterone or whatever drugs they're on, their performance enhancing drugs, and then they have their coach. You're my coach. Well, you're gonna pee in the bag. I'm gonna inject this catheter into my pee hole. I'm gonna squeeze you. This is true.
Gross.
I'm gonna squeeze your urine into my urethra, into my bladder, so when I go pee next, I'm peeing your pee that's clean. Is that not the craziest thing you've ever heard in your life? People do that to pass drug tests. People fucking do. This is not a fallacy. Look it up. They're injecting other people's urine into their bladder so they can pass drug tests. Like, how crazy is this?
Well, there you go. I don't know. No real response. I can't respond.
And I tell you what, I love making you uncomfortable, bro. I just see you're just like, I'm not responding. But it's true. Those two things. Look at Amazon right now. Look like it's called like a fat bladder strap on or something like that.
That can't be in my it can't be in my search history. That's too weird. People are gonna think that's so weird. What is happening? Okay, this is crazy. Well, all right. There you go. I guess weight cutting is maybe here to stay for the foreseeable future, but maybe somebody will figure it out one day, because I'd love to see it. I hate it. I hate it so much, because it's like you're going into the most dangerous spot of your life in the weakest position of your life. Like, you're dehydrated. Your brain is like very susceptible to getting concussion and knocked around and all this stuff without the fluid. So it's just, from that perspective, it literally makes no sense. Like, obviously I get the reason why it's there, but yeah, I've always hated it. I think somebody's going to figure it out. What I was going to say was, weigh in right before you step into the ring. You fight at the weight that you are when the fight starts. That's it. So you're going to have to
they have tried to do this in wrestling before.
Yeah.
And a lot of injuries happen because guys are coming in, cutting weight, and their ligaments, especially in wrestling, their ligaments are dehydrated, and they were blowing their knees out. I haven't heard. I mean, I'm sure some, like in high school wrestling, like you will do a morning weigh-in, like you weigh in at like 7 a.m. and then you compete at 9. Yeah. But the whole stepping on the scale, I think it's more detrimental because, again, guys are still going to cut weight. Guys are still going to be dehydrated and think, oh, I'll be fine. Whatever. And I believe there were more injuries happening that way.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. If it was that simple, maybe it'd already been solved. So it's probably a very complicated issue. Somebody's got to get on this. Elon Musk, let's go figure this out. All right. Moving on to number 4. We're looking ahead at UFC 312. There's actually a plethora of things.
I have a hard stop in 15 minutes because I got to be at the show at 5.
No worries. We're going to be done. So Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. The reason why I wanted to talk about this matchup, well, 2 reasons. One, it's 2 weeks away. Can you believe it? It's only 2 weeks away. Number 2, me and Justin made different videos this week. Justin is feeling, and of course, Justin's, full disclosure, teammates with Sean Strickland. So we'll put that out there. But he is believing that Sean Strickland is going to win. I actually felt that way earlier. But I said in the video, the reason why I've changed my mind, Justin, is because of that dinner that we had in Montana right before the Fusion Fight League fight, where that one coach from the other gym in Vegas, I can't remember the name of the gym, but he changed my mind. He changed my mind by saying that DDP, the fact that he's an awkward fighter and the way his positions are you can't replicate them. That makes it very difficult to train for that style. Then the next day we saw Yuri go out and do what he did. I had picked Yuri, but really I kind of really thought Jamal Hill was going to get it done again because of the differences in technique. Jamal trains and looks like what we would expect from a seasoned striker. Yuri doesn't. I just thought with some of the other issues that Yuri has, the lack of defense and whatnot, which he fixed to his credit, I thought I felt like Jamal was going to get it done, but Yuri, to my surprise, did it and did it beautifully. That changed my mind. That's why I'm now favoring DDP. That's my side. You're obviously the fighter. You obviously train with Sean. And by the way, last thing I'll say is people are saying, no, DDP is just going to take Sean down and this and that. And I'm like, you guys just assume Sean has no grappling or wrestling. I know you've told me many times that's not the case. Anyways, let me pass it over to you so you can give your thoughts and your perspective on this matchup.
You know, I hate when people are just say like, oh, well, DDP is just going to take him down like he did the first time. Let's take a look at the stats because stats are factual. DDP had 11 takedown attempts. He had 6 takedowns. That's a lot of takedowns, but he only had 2 minutes of control time. So, math wizard, give me what's his average control time on his takedowns for over 25 minutes?
You mean per 2 minutes of control time for 6 takedowns, so 30 seconds per takedown? Is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So he was able to hold Sean down each takedown for 30 seconds. How can you be like, oh, well, he won the fight because he held him down? He didn't do any damage. He never had Sean in any compromising positions. He did get him down, sure. So let's score those takedowns. But he didn't do anything with it. It's not like he was on top, ground and pound, hurting Sean's trying to fight out, saved by the bell. Sean outstruck him by like 30 strikes in the first round. Sean outstruck him like 30 strikes in the 5th round. He got outstruck in the 2nd round by 2 strikes. The 3rd and the 4th round were very close, but Sean edged him out in the striking department. You know, it's so when you're, and you know what I think a really big factor was in the judge's eyes was that cut on Sean's eye. I think that was a big factor. But again, Sean, like when I left right before I went on this gig, I'm in Arkansas in case you guys are wondering, doing Division I wrestling commentary out here. Sean is in his singlet wrestling with collegiate wrestlers. We got this guy over from Bellator, super stud collegiate wrestler, fought Yoel Romero, and they're grinding every day, man. Like Sean is ready. The only thing DDP can do is try to take him down and hold him and win a boring decision. DDP's not gonna choke him out. He's not gonna knock him out. He's just really awkward, and I can understand him having some success with being awkward and stuff, but in order to beat a great fighter like Sean Strickland once is a very, very hard task. To do it twice, man, this is going to be really, really tough for DDP. And you know, if he goes in there and Sean wins the decision, does DDP get an immediate rematch? I mean, there's a lot of questions to be asked right now, especially if it's close. You know, I don't like how Sean's like, hey, let's make a man's agreement and let's just stand. DDP's like, lions don't make packs with sheep or something like that. The quote like that. But I just think that Sean is really going to be focused on his wrestling defense here. Maybe he won't be pushing as, I mean, he's always going to walk people down and walk forward. But I think he's going to kind of pull back a little bit just so he doesn't make himself susceptible to the takedown. But again, when you're talking about 2 minutes of control time over 25 minutes, I'm not impressed.
Okay, last thing I wanted to throw out there. This is what Robert Whitaker said, I think on the Ariel Helwani show a few days ago. And he said he's picking DDP, and the other reason is he said Sean has pretty much fought the same for the last like several fights. Like he comes out and he does his kind of traditional like pressure, uses his jab and his punches, his teep kick heavily as well. Whereas he feels like there's not going to be much progression on Sean's side. And I just want to hear your thoughts on this because you train with Sean. Whereas he's like, but DDP, on the other hand, I believe he's going to have been working on a lot of things. He's going to have improved substantially, and he's going to come in as a more improved fighter where he's going to be fighting essentially the same version of Sean. What are your thoughts on that statement?
You know, it's tough when you're fighting at the top of the level. There's not huge room for growth. You know what I mean? Like guys aren't just going to change and be like, hey, I'm an orthodox fighter now. Oh, now I'm a southpaw fighter, fight to fight. That's not how it's going to go. I don't think these guys are really. I don't think they've gotten tremendously better since their last fight. Not because of the lack of training, just because they're already at such a high level. I do know this. Sean Strickland, you know, the when I see him train, he's holding mitts with Danny Davis, Danny D1 Davis. You know, a PFL vet, fought Jake Shields back in the day. But he's a long, rangy kickboxer. And I do know every time I see Danny, you know, have the mitts on, he has a big chest shield on. and Sean is really focused on kicking him in the body, which in turn, I think this is a technique. You know, he has that teep kick. He always shows that teep kick as he's walking down, but he's really trying to focus on those body kicks to take the gas out of DDP, you know, especially with that awkward stop to prevent him from those takedowns. And I think that's going to be the difference maker. Sean beating up DDP's body, slowing him down, taking him into deep water, and winning this fight in a sloppy way. When I say sloppy, I just mean like when you got a guy like DDP who's so unorthodox, you know, you just never know. Like fighting an unorthodox guy is tough because even if you are like a straight, great striker and you have your straight punches and stuff, your opponent isn't going to be where you expect him to be. So your punch angles are going to change. Your footwork's going to change. I think it's going to be a sloppy slugfest, and I'm really hoping Sean comes out on top.
Dude, guys in the audience, in the comments, where else, what other show do you get these types of insights? I didn't know any of that. That's very fascinating, and that makes a lot of sense. Western does say, can't believe we have 25 watching right now. We did hit a high today, which I didn't want to say until the end, but that's super cool. MGal4 Production says, Justin, do you train with Magomed Ankalaev? Do you actually?
No, I don't.
Okay. And here we go. MGal4 Production says, Justin has earned the right to talk about MMA. Justin is exactly. Yeah, 100%. That's why I wanted to start the show with Justin, and it wouldn't make sense for me to do it with like another friend of mine or whatever, because now we can have these conversations. I can't say the things that Justin said because it would not be authentic, and that's why it works so well. That's why we have so much fun. It's the same thing in the commentary booth. We talk about it all the time. There's certain things that I can talk about, but there's a lot that I can't talk about intelligently, and that's why I think the balance is so great. So thank you for pointing that out and noting that. All right, Justin's got to go in 7 minutes. We got to the last topic. Now, I made a video about the drama that's going on between Kevin Holland and Rampage Jackson. If you guys hadn't heard about it, I'm sure now you have, because there's another YouTuber, Ronin MMA. He had a video about this whole beef. Mine only got like 500 views, but his video got like 100,000. MMA Guru just made another video last night. It's an hour long, and it's already gotten, let me see, 160,000 views. But, you know, MMA Guru is a legend. But anyways, Justin, I just wanted to get your thoughts before we close out. Dude, TJ Dillashaw is the man. If we could ever get him on the show somehow, I'd be so happy. He's just so, well, kind of like you, actually. He just says it how it is without any, like, just doesn't hold back. He weighed in on the whole situation, and he gives his thoughts right here in this clip on Kevin Holland. I know you train with Kevin Holland. I know you like him, but I just wanted to play this clip and just kind of show you all the stuff that has gone down and how it kind of concluded. So check this out.
You know what the SAS is?
And let me give you guys a little context if you're new to this beef. Kevin Holland came on the show with Rampage Jackson. He had a problem with him because Rampage made a fairly innocuous, benign joke, in my opinion, that wasn't even personal, but just about the face-off between Kevin Holland and MVP, where MVP put his hand up like this, Kevin Holland put it over him, and Rampage Jackson was like, man, that looks like two chicks like doing some like sex position or whatever. That's it. It wasn't like a dig at them. He just said that's what it looked like. And Kevin Holland got really mad, said he wanted to fight Rampage. The whole thing, Justin, makes no sense to me. I still don't understand why Kevin Holland was so upset. Then he comes on the show and is super disrespectful to Rampage, tells him to shut the F up. I mean, like crazy stuff that he said to Rampage. Rampage kept his cool. Now these guys are reflecting on it with TJ Dillashaw back on the show. So check this out.
All right, let it play.
I want to talk about this, but I was trained by the SAS. You know what the SAS is? What kind of man are you? You don't know what the SAS is?
He's saying it like that. What kind of man doesn't know what the SAS is? Because Kevin Holland grilled him about not knowing what a 45-70 is, like some caliber of a gun that
It's a caliber of a rifle. It's a caliber of a rifle.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, a real man shoots with a 45-70. Do you know what a 45-70 is? Do you know? And he's like, no, I don't. He's like, what kind of man are you? You don't know what a 45-70 is. And he's like getting on Rampage Jackson's case, was a legend in MMA.
And honestly, sorry to interrupt you, and I want you to finish your thought, but a 45-70 isn't even a common round. If he was like a 9mm 45, 300, like, but a 45-70, like, I can understand why somebody wouldn't know what that is.
Yeah, it was so bizarre. All right, there you go. You heard it from Justin, who probably, well, I don't know. You know,
I'm a hunting fanatic. I'm a gun fanatic. Like I have some education in rounds and guns and hunting and shit. Actually, that's actually my hunting and fishing are my passions more than MMA. But yeah, if somebody said that, you know, they didn't know what a 45-70 round was, like I wouldn't think anything of it.
Oh, by the way, Notorious Vet says, "What's Justin's last name? I want to see his MMA record. Is he in the UFC?" So he used to be in the UFC. His name is Justin Jaynes. That's Jaynes. He's had 78 MMA fights. Okay, total. And he mentioned on the show like a week ago, he's never pulled out of one fight. So there you go, Notorious Viet. Oh yeah, Western threw it out there. Okay. MGal4 Productions goes, do you know what a 45 side is? Well, then shut the F up then. Okay, wait, anyways, let's keep playing. So I want you to hear what TJ Dillashaw says. Dude, he's becoming like my favorite person on any podcast. Let's check this out.
You got an ego problem, man.
You can tell him like, oh man, back in my day, I wasn't worried about what I was shooting. I was worried about winning UFC titles. Oh, what are you doing, dog? What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, fuck, you can't talk shit, bro. Like, you can't come here talk shit to a legend across the table. I text Bear. I was like, homeboy needs to get slapped.
No,
I was like, fuck that.
I said, you're more than willing to do it, TJ, because I am not.
For me, it wasn't about my accomplishment. It's just that a man to man, you just don't tell another man shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he needs to sit here and respect you.
Yeah, without violence. Being threatened, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna be the bigger guy because this is what I was thinking. The guy that he's a kid to me, right?
Okay.
And
we're gonna pause it because I know you got to bounce in 2 minutes. I just want to get your thoughts on this whole interplay, and I just love how TJ comes in there, defends Rampage, and he's not saying anything crazy. He's just speaking the truth. Like, hey, this guy shouldn't be coming in here talking to you like that, disrespecting you, especially over something so stupid. It's like a hand position, making a comment. The whole thing doesn't make sense. What are your thoughts as we close out today's show?
You know, I like Kevin Holland a lot. You know, he calls himself the Black Batman. You know, he's fighting crime. You know, he finds himself in all these crazy positions. You know, I'm a big fan of Kevin Holland. You know, but unfortunately, with the lack of success he's been having in his UFC career, I wonder if this was just a publicity stunt, because you're absolutely right. Like, I think his reaction was just so over the top. But again, publicity stunt. He tells Rampage Jackson to shut the fuck up on his podcast. Like, this is going to get incredible views, and it's guys like us talking about it, man. And that's the only thing, unless it's deeper than just that, and we just don't know. And maybe there's a personal vendetta that maybe Rampage hooked up with an ex-girlfriend or something like that. Which also it wouldn't shock me knowing Rampage.
Yeah.
But again, I don't understand why he'd blow up so much without it being more, unless again, it is a publicity stunt, which I wouldn't count out of the realm of possibility either.
Fair enough. And I think this video might be the end of this whole saga. I don't think after this week, people are going to be really talking about it much more. But yeah, definitely, I would say MMA Guru threw some gasoline on the fire, because now, like I said, 160,000, maybe it's even at 200,000 now. I have to refresh it. But this might be the end of this saga. Anyways, let us know what you guys think of the show in the comments. What do you guys want us to talk about next week? Also, I put up a survey. We're launching memberships. We might even do it this weekend. I put up a survey in the community tab of 4 different options. Right now, Justin, the #1 request is for training videos from you. That beat out gambling odds. That beat out members only live streams, all the other options. So if that's how you guys feel, if you guys feel that strongly that the main content for members that you want is training videos from Justin, let us know. We're going to get on it immediately. But if it's something else, let us know as well. It's going to determine how we structure the tiers and the pricing, because we want the lowest tier likely to be most accessible. So probably the first tier, the one that most people are interested in. Anyways, let us know. And guys, thank you so much for today. We had a record 25 people, actually even more, I think, at one time on the stream. So the show is growing. We're also making videos, as you can see now, every day on top of the regular live streams that we're doing, but everything is just growing, man. We're on our way to 1,000 subs, which is really cool. So thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it. And keep spreading the word if you can. Make sure to like this video if you did like it, and make sure to click subscribe if you're new. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take it easy.